cortege of the joy or of the eternal charm. This even it could be the cortege of just the opposite of the previous one, but it is not so much this way, it is a lot this way more than that. For that in ordinary samples of all the man wants of good for himself or for an everything, they continue being ordinary samples, but they could never be it more. It is not that the man is not worthy of all the good one that the same one wants for that, but rather he doesn't still know the distance towards that joy, that is to say towards that patience of charm of this dream, where, like same dream, doesn't know how to take it out, part of bad or foy. It is that no matter how much is learning, he will never finish that learning, and neither its joy or its foy. They can wait for always that, because they can wait for beyond that time. But while the man uses mortal vehicle, it never arrives, neither it leaves in departure. This cortege really comes to bring him so alone the well, but not its joy. That stage will still continue very far, unless to be gives account of its quantums towards the eternity of that and one body to it. Let us say, well, as spatial space suits for the or for the wrong, so that they can try to use them, at least with many millions of years to learn how to use them. This is a type of cortege that inside of all of that as a light of the thoughts, for the light that emits the thought is part of the understanding of the power of light of that thought as point neutronic one, that elevates the vibrations of that really ray of light, giving him the emission power for section and for session to the handy part and manual of the concept of the joy, as so that the specialities can understand that it is not really that it exists in this concept a prize to be very free of the wrong, but rather simply all thought with the power of complete light will also be the complete part of the regular approach or powered of this type of cortege. The concept of the good in a total way, in the level of satisfaction toward a binary race that could receive that power, but for that would not really have it to exist in the face of the earth, neither in none of their behalves and of their diverse layers. The concept of the wrong, less than it has been left in Empyrean, let us say to a regent in base, or the world government, we say to one cause and for the sake of itself of evilness. For it is that the distance evidences of the cultural approach of this type of cortege. It is everything that in the same net you have put, and you will continue making it. In the case of you, it is not expected that you will sow the well for all sides. It is as saying you are already played to the tossed cards. It didn't see so much to whom come behind you. That would be already another thing, but always inside the same cortege. You have not been able to be because neither effect of the good, but let us say your descendants, yes, but everything depends on the joy, like a part of the eternal charm, that it is a level of power of light that takes and it bears to the fruits the real inheritance of those fruits, for everything that you have not been able to achieve, but that yes, you have been able to feel, as to say that after you already anything cares, neither as it has cared before it. So all sequences of that chain of consequences would be all that could be not be, but yes, to center and retro, to feed, for what one can say that according to many levels of concepts, many in this type of cortege are not it. When the well settles down in the communication form inside a complex state of cortege, from certain spaces of the conscience, the thought is divided in what would be diverse of its consequences, for where each consequences, it is not part of a coalition of union of the active community. That is as saying that the active community is not the same thing as the universal community. The level for where you can activate the concept, it is for where you can detect their functions, for what is always a latent state. Inside this type of cortege, all that beats inside the essential same root of this source, for it is it that taking the examples of the assets, it is when one says that they are active very of agreement also to their source and to the space of the conscience. It is said inside the sequences of some consequences that one cannot play the sky, neither their paradises, without having the joy before without the foy, and that inside their possible situations the facts can be predicted of having been played by the same sound of their light. So in different donations of their situation, everything is measured and calculated, but don't overestimate as professional help to give or to take when it takes as professional to everything that has really been it, and it is it. The good intentions that are had inside the good are everything that has been well, that toward the consequences of their non-existence like bad, not even in rebounds or reflections, it is in this that the measure of the good intentions is not. For it, when certain corteges of good really arrive, the fact will be for the movements of a time, perhaps towards the 1015 after it, and this same fact of giving dates makes to the professional same success that will be had on the time and their conjugations. As to give an example, you have put in the net the video teacher Jesus' message. As you have seen it, it is among those the fewest seen, and that has many relative reasons and related to the joy like to its foy, but inside very complex aspects. But that they are a very big sample of many factors to keep in mind, not so much because the video is not very seen or not very unknown, but rather simply the current civilizations and that of many other time, they don't have alternative of the eternal charm, less than its nuclear power, like to be able to have the favorable situation of facing this video, or of being able to see it at least, because the same one is not that it seems to be inside a sealed closed envelope and sealed, but rather directly the humanity cannot have access to this, because the video is prepared to be seen by the cortege of the joy without anything at all of foy. It is necessary in certain aspect of the evaluation of the things that certain parts of the essence be evaluated many times the species and as the race, about if it is possible that they have a tiny piece of a joy, or of the very same one, not as much as for a message of universal love, or the classic do love each one to the other ones, but rather of the same knowledge that one already comes from it. For what it is, this evaluation will always make, because it is as when you hurt, when you kick or impact in an anthill, if it is that you make it with an overwhelming object, or for example with a stick or an ant stick, in fact when taking out it you will see that some ants have been stuck or hit at the iron or at the stick. That is as saying that those ants,